everybody! I've got Alex as my cameraman again. He's back there smiling. He's smiling at you guys. Anyways, I've got another story for you guys. And this one, as you already know the title, is called Nude with a Dagger. And it's by Flanders. Old Gride was a money lender, and a hard one. In the course of his career, 5,000 clients owed him money. He was the occasion of 112 suicides, of 9 sensational murders, of assignments, bankruptcies, and financial disasters without number. 100,000 maledictions were called down on his head, and he laughed at all of them. 100,000 maledictions. But the 100,001st malediction killed him in the strangest and most frightful fashion. I owed him 200 pounds. He ground out of me the most abominable interest payments every month. And yet he had made me his intimate friend. As a matter of fact, this was only a way he had of torturing me, for I was forced to submit to every sort of cruelty and malice at his hands, to echo his boisterous laughter as his victims begged, entreated, and even died at his hands. He scrupulously recorded all this suffering and blood in his daybook and his ledger. As his ill-gotten fortune grew day after day. But today, I do not regret the pain he caused me, because I was allowed at least to witness his death agony. And I wish all his dear colleagues a like fate. One morning, I found him in his office, engaged in an argument with a client, a very pale and very handsome young man. The young man was speaking. "It is impossible for me to pay you, Mr. Gride, but I implore you, do not sell me out. Take this painting. It is the one good piece of work that I have done. I have worked it over 100 times. I have put my heart's blood into it. Even now I realize that it isn't quite finished. There is something lacking still, and I can't tell exactly what it is. But I know I shall find out in time, and then I will finish it. Take it for this debt which is killing me, and is killing my poor mother." Gride sneered. When he noticed me, he called my attention to a moderately large painting, which stood against his bookcase. When I caught sight of it, I started with surprise and admiration. It seemed to me that I had never seen anything so perfect. It was a life-sized nude, a man as handsome as a god, standing out against a vague, cloudy background. A background of tempest, night and flame. "I don't know yet what I shall call it," said the artist in a voice filled with pain. "That figure you see there, I have been dreaming of it ever since I was a child. It came to me in a dream, just as certain melodies come from heaven in the night to Mozart and Haydn." "You owe me 300 pounds, Mr. Wharton," said Gride. The young man clasped his hands together. "And my painting, Mr. Gride, it is worth twice that, 3 times that, 10 times that." "In 100 years," assented Gride. "I shan't live long enough to get the good of it." But as he spoke, I seemed to catch in his face a sort of vacillating glimmer, which was different from the steel-hard gaze I had always seen there before. Was it admiration of an artistic masterpiece? Or was it the prospect of fabulous profit? Then Gride went on. "I am sorry for you," he said, "and away down in my heart I have a weakness for artists. I will take it and credit you with £100 on your debt." The artist opened his mouth to reply. The usher cut him off. "You owe me £300, payable at the rate of £10 a month. I will sign a receipt for 10 months. Don't forget to be prompt in your payment 11 months from today, Mr. Wharton." Wharton had covered his face with his beautiful hands. 10 months! You are giving me 10 months free from worry. 10 months of relief for Mother. Mother is sadly nervous and ill, Mr. Gride. And I can work hard in these 10 months. He took the receipt. "But," added Gride, "you admit yourself that there is something still lacking to the picture. You must put the finishing touch to it, and you must find a name for it by the time the 10 months are up." The artist promised all of this, and the picture was hung on the wall above old Gride's desk. 11 months went by, and Wharton was unable to pay his installment of £10. He begged and implored Gride to allow him more time, but to no avail. The usher secured an order for the sale of the poor boy's effects. When the officers came, they found mother and son sleeping the sleep of death in a room filled with asphyxiating fumes from a brazier of live coals. On the table there was a letter from Gride. Letter for Gride. "I agreed to furnish you a name for my picture," the artist had written him. "You may call it Vengeance. And as for my promise to finish the picture, I will keep that promise too." Gride was very much annoyed. "The name," he argued, "doesn't fit the picture at all. And how can a dead man come back and finish a picture?" But his challenge to the other world was answered. One morning I found Gride terribly worried and excited. "Look at the painting," he cried, the moment I entered the room. "Don't you see something strange about it?" I studied the painting, but I could discover no change in it. My assurance seemed to relieve him greatly. "Do you know," he began. He passed his hand over his forehead, and I could see drops of perspiration standing out on his brow. "It was last night, some time after midnight. I had gone to bed. Then all at once I remembered that I had left some very important papers lying on my desk. I got up at once to see that they were put away safely. I never have any trouble in finding my way about in the dark in this house, for I know every corner and crevice of it. I came into my office here without taking the trouble to turn on the light. There was really no need for one, for the moonlight fell square on my desk. As I leaned over my papers, I had a feeling that something was moving between the window and me. Look at the picture! Look at the picture! Gride cried out suddenly in abject terror. Then, in a moment, he murmured, I must be imagining things. I have heard of hallucinations, but I can't remember ever having had one. I thought I saw the man in the picture move again. Well, when I came in here last night, it seemed to me I saw... No, I swear I did see that man in the painting reach out his arm to seize me. You're going crazy, I said. I wish I could explain it so, said Gride. That would be better than... Well, why don't you destroy the painting, if you think all this is just your imagination? Gride's face brightened. That hadn't occurred to me, he said. I suppose it was too simple. He opened the drawer and took out a long-bladed dagger with a delicately chiseled handle. He walked toward the picture with the dagger in his hand. Then suddenly, he seemed to change his mind. No, he said. I'm not going to fling 100 pounds into the fire just because I had a bad dream. You're the one that's crazy, young friend. And he flung the weapon angrily down on his desk. When I went back the next day, I did not find the same Gride. In his stead was a broken old man with eyes of a tracked beast, shaking with insane terror. No, he howled. I'm not crazy. I'm not an imbecile. I know what I'm talking about. I got up again last night and came in here to see if the other thing had been a dream. And I tell you, he came out of the picture. Gride bellowed, twisting his hands around each other. And look at the picture. You darn fool. He took my dagger away from me. I put my hands up to my head. I felt myself turning as crazy as old Gride was. The thing was impossible, but it was true. The nude figure in the painting held in his hand a dagger which had not been there the day before. A dagger that I recognized by the artistic carving on the handle. It was the weapon which Gride had flung down on his desk when I was in here last. I begged Gride, by all he held sacred, to destroy the painting. But mad with terror though he was, he could not bring himself to wreck an object that held money value. He still did not believe that Wharton would keep his promise. Gride is dead. We found him in his armchair, his body emptied of blood, his throat cut clear across. The murderer's steel had slashed into the leather of the chair. And when I looked at the painting, I saw that the blade of the dagger was red to the hilt. Have pleasant nightmares, everyone.